Hi, this is FSTV and I'm Pamela Segneri. On today's show, I have John Jolly. Now, John you may never have heard of, but John is a Christian leader. He is a business leader. He is a property developer. He has an international business. He is someone who God has prospered. He indeed does have a giving gift, and he gives into people's lives, not just with finance, but with his expertise. And he's going to share a little bit of that with us today so that you can be inspired, that you can be a Christian leader, indeed, in the business world or the education world, wherever you find yourself, arts and media, wherever you find yourself, God has placed you there to do the best job you can. So I encourage you to just really hear what John is sharing, because I know his wisdom will bless you. We're here today with John Jolly, who is, I guess in the world's terms, a very successful businessman, property developer, and so on, and a passionate lover of Jesus Christ. And this is not an add-on to your life, the fact that you are a Christian.
No.
This is the linchpin.
That's my life, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us, John, a little bit about what how you came to be in this place, because you haven't always been here.
No.
In what many people would say success. Fulfillment.
Well, yes, okay. Well, it's a journey. Life is a journey.
Yeah.
So when I was young, I had these ambitious dreams of travelling the world and building this huge empire. I remember having those thoughts as a kid, 12 or 13 years old. But then life sort of steps in and reality sort of bashes you into shape, and you sort of have your successes and failures. But it's a journey, and I've been in sales most of my life, so I've had a real interest in people, building relationships with people, communicating with people, understanding people, and that's probably been the most fulfilling part. But I think the bit where I get the reward is that when I have the opportunity to share that with the next generation and to help them and inspire them to learn from some of the mistakes that I've made. And I've made a few, yes.
But we all have in every
Yeah, we all have.
But I guess it's interesting to a lot of people that you can hold fast to your faith and still be in commerce, because a lot of believers believe that it's church or it's the world. And well, the church is the world and the world is the church. I mean, it's all one thing. So I can't wake up 9 o'clock Sunday morning and suddenly become this Christian. I mean, I'm it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have my lumps and bumps and my imperfections, and my wife could probably give you a nice long list if you asked her the question. But it is one thing. It can't be separate. And so for me, when I have my day-to-day interactions, business interactions, and so on, I'm always mindful of the fact that I am part of the Master's plan. This is no accident. It's not just something that's happening because of it's happening. It all has a purpose. Yeah.
And quite often my attitude towards a set of circumstances can determine its outcome as well.
Yeah.
So if I have recently we had a very, very tense situation, a business problem come up. So rather than going in all guns blazing, I spent a little time pondering and contemplating before the meeting. I tried to understand it from their point of view, then sat down with them and we discussed it and resolved the issue, and it was a very amicable. And not a nasty word was said. No voices raised or anything. And that's how it should be.
And that's incredibly unusual in business these days.
Well, I've got to tell you though, it's very peaceful. It's very relaxing, and it's even fun sometimes, knowing that you can get to the other end of the meeting and no one said anything that they regretted.
Yeah. So I noticed this book on your desk, and God is my CEO, and I believe that for myself, but I'd never seen the book. So this is more than just a book. This is the real deal for you.
That's right. Well, if God is real in my life, and he is, then he must be real in my business too. He must be real in my marriage, in my relationship with my kids, and with everything. So to say God is my CEO is more than business. I mean, it's like he's the boss.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's not really the boss, you know, because he really likes me, actually.
I'm actually his favourite.
Okay, all right then. Well, I'm second.
He loves you.
Yeah, that's good.
What does this business success, fulfilment in what you're doing day by day, what does that afford for you?
Well, the things it gives me is time.
Yeah.
It gives me, to a degree, freedom as far as financial decisions are concerned, because that does change as the business grows, or certain projects come up and I have a demand on cash and so on.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's I don't know. It's just the freedom.
Yeah.
One of the big mistakes I think a lot of people make is that they say, I'm going to go in business so that I have more time. But in reality, that doesn't happen at all. And the reason why that doesn't happen is because they haven't been clear enough on what their intention was when they started. And if your intention is that I'm going to go into business myself, which is going to give me more time, then when the things start coming, and they come fast, they gobble up your time, you've got to make sure that you're not allowing that to happen. So that's when you need to stop, and you need to reevaluate. You need to pray about things and consider what's going on right now, and saying, what are the priorities here? And it's a continuing.
And one of the key things you said when we were chatting before was that it's not about money.
No.
Because if money is the goal, then...
Money is the God. And it's interesting, because if you'd have asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said the reverse.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm in business is to make money. And although that is fundamentally true, because if your business isn't making money, you don't have a business, it can't be about the money.
No.
Because if it is, that's what it becomes. So then that becomes an idol, a god.
Yeah.
And you sort of get to this point. When you get to this point, you find that you write very large checks for your tithe, or for community projects, or to help people out, or whatever. And it's not even a bother. It's a really interesting place to be. Sometimes some of the checks I've written have been big enough to buy brand new motor cars with. And I just write it, and that proves to me, forgetting about what the Bible teaches, but what that proves to me is it's not a God in my life. Because if it was, then I would be reluctantly signing this check. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So for me, if the tithe was the test on my commitment to God from a financial point of view, then writing big checks is an exciting part of the journey.
Yeah.
Forget the size of the check, even forget where the check is going and what they're doing with it.
Yes.
Let the senior pastor go and buy himself a brand new Ferrari if he wants to.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Exactly.
But I've done what I'm supposed to do for my own journey.
And what you love to do. I mean, to give, because that's such an integral part of even being in business. Because you're always giving to someone. You're giving them your time. You're giving them your expertise.
Giving them ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, giving them my time, of course, and building relationships with people too. Yeah. Because
not every deal comes off. Not, you know.
I wish it did. Although I'll probably be too busy, and I don't want to be busy. That's the last thing I want to be, is busy. I can't think when I'm busy. So you don't make money being busy.
No, but that's, you know, that's also another interesting thing, because, you know, when we have a clear mind, then God can speak to us much clearer. And in business, particularly when you're dealing with large contracts, large sums of money, but it doesn't even need to be in business. In whatever we're doing, it pays to have a clear mind, not bogged down with lots and lots of things going on that are unresolvable. So God can speak to us clearly, and we can go with His direction instead of what I think might be a good idea, which usually isn't.
So basically the scripture, be still and know that I am God. I mean, So then what that means, I think, from a personal point of view, is that there's some issues in my life I need to make sure I have in order. For starters, to make sure that all my tax returns are up to date, that there are no pressing issues with creditors, and if there are, that I've got those resolved and arrangements made. That my house is tidy and in order, and that I don't have rooms full of junk and things. I've got to get all the this stuff out of my life. If I'm not getting on well with my mother or my sister, that I need to resolve that and get rid of that negative clutter. Yeah, it's not good.
No.
So be still. So then, when you're still, you will know God, because you're not thinking about, oh my God, I've got to ring the ATO tomorrow because I owe them $45,000, and how am I going to pay that money? I mean, because I haven't got the tax return in for 3 years. I mean, that's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
So, it's that balance between spiritual and physical, you know.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility for yourself.
Absolutely. And I guess also where you're at as a business person, it gives you influence over the next generation, or influence over those around about you.
Okay. I hadn't thought of it that way, influence.
Because, as Christians, we are meant to transform.
Oh, absolutely, contribute. I understand that.
So, so you're in a different part of the vineyard doing your thing, but people listen to you, and so that gives you influence, and that's one of the things I believe that Jesus wants for each one of us. And we were talking about mediocrity, and it's not good enough.
No.
It's not good enough for anyone, but certainly for a Christian, that's unacceptable, because we need to do the best we can.
And we're not average, and we shouldn't be average, and we shouldn't be thinking average.
Yeah.
Now that's a stretch, I've got to tell you. I mean, it's a journey, and it's brings its challenges.
Yeah.
But every time a challenge comes up, who you are is actually revealed, and so that's why we should embrace challenges.
Yeah.
Did I just say that?
Yes.
Really?
We'll send you that link.
But as funny as I'm trying to be there for a second, the truth of it though, I've learnt this the hard way, that when a situation comes up, rather than running from it, go and embrace it and get resolution to it. You definitely, absolutely grow as a result of it. The generous man shall be rich. By watering others, he waters himself.
Yes.
And that process there, we've got it on the big lettering on the wall outside, and the process there is that the generous man, that's the person who's kind, generous with their words, generous with their money, generous with their time, by watering others. So the process is you water other people. So you don't expect anything from them.
No.
But what the Bible teaches is if you help and encourage and be kind and inspire other people, whether you like it or not, you will be inspired. That's how it works.
And that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome. And you don't have to do a thing. Just be kind to people.
Yeah.
Be generous and
And it's a great life. It's a very exciting place that you're at.
And unbelievably simple. You've got no idea. It's so the people that come into my life that try to be whatever they try to be other than what I've just described, they just don't fit. So they just sort of go and find someone else that wants to listen to that twaddle. And there's plenty of people who listen to it. I'm not interested, really.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, definitely. For a businessman to talk about fun, this is...
Well, it's very, very easy to get caught in the rut of doing business. And because as business people, generally you're quite driven. Some people more than others, but generally you're driven. So you have a purpose for doing what you're doing. So it's very, very important that you have some me time. And, like last year, the year before, that last 3 or 4 years, I've been travelling 3 or 4 months a year overseas, all over the world and stuff. Now, I'm at a stage in my life where I can do that now. But I've got other colleagues of mine who are in business that would do 4 weeks a year full stop. Well, that's fine. That's their business. But it must be fun. And it's interesting when you do a lot of travel. The people you meet the experiences that you gain from that.
Yeah.
But also, whenever you travel, there's always problems. Something doesn't happen, a plane gets delayed. I remember we did a big trip to Israel. There was a whole group of us, about 20 or 30 of us, or 40 of us. We landed in Tel Aviv, and for some reason we missed the connecting flight by 20 minutes or something. So we go to the officials there and they say, well, look, we can't find your bags, they're here somewhere. So we wandered around the airport, and an hour later we found our bags revolving around this isolated out the back of the airport. So we get our bags and bring them back. A few of the people were not happy about this flight being delayed, and because we had to end up sitting in the airport for 6 or 7 or 8 hours or something till the wee hours of the morning. And so they were creating lots of stress and energy around this. Well, I grabbed 3 or 4 other players, friends, and we just went and got a deck of cards out and we just played cheat. We had a great time. You're cheating, you're cheating. We had a good laugh about it. So it was just purely, I mean, we could either become part of the problem or just enjoy the journey. And and it's not always easy to do.
No.
But
But attitude is a big thing. Attitude is a big thing because it doesn't matter in business, in any walk of life, certainly in ministry. You know, you can be extremely driven and you just miss the journey because I'm going for it and so that's it. I just need to get there. But it all comes back to our attitude, and we can embrace the journey and embrace those really rich opportunities that God brings to us when those hiccups happen. And that
great learning opportunities.
We would never have otherwise. I mean, you meet people when you're stuck in an airport and you don't know anyone, and people, you know, you'd never have met them.
No.
And yet there's a reason why they've come across your path. And so it's about attitude, and you know, I salute you. You've got a great attitude towards.
Oh no, I'm not
business.
perfect, all right.
No.
I don't get it right all the time.
If you're not perfect, you'll be in heaven.
Yeah.
But you know, we're all. I mean, I'm always working on my attitude, but it's a life journey. But to develop that, really, you know, I'm going to see this from God's perspective rather than poor little old me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm put out. But really, 5 minutes, 5 hours, what difference does it make in the grand scheme of things?
Absolutely. Yep.
And, you know, attitude is everything, and everything is attitude.
Yeah. And I think too, that's why, for me, my own personal opinion on this is that's why the Bible shouldn't be used as a tool to persuade people or as a grounds under which I can prove that I am right and you are wrong from a doctrinal point of view. I think it should be used as a book of instruction. So then I become the pupil and the book or God is my teacher, and that's a great place to be. Then I'm not playing the role of the teacher and trying to make everybody else a student, because there is no... So I've done a lot of public speaking in my life, and one of the things I've discovered is that the more I learn, the more I realise the less I know.
Yes, absolutely.
And you get to this point where suddenly you realise that you aren't actually the teacher, you are actually the student, and that quite often the students themselves have some very interesting stories or ideas or what have you, and if you're prepared to, can I be super spiritual and say humble yourself in a position of becoming the student, then everything changes. It's just, it's not hard anymore.
No.
You don't need, so if someone says something that you don't agree with, well,
it's their opinion.
That's fine.
It's okay.
God bless you and move on.
Yeah. Because the Lord is my shepherd. So, you know, it is a, you're right, it's a manual. I mean, I see the word as a love letter from God to us, and not as something that I can go and hit people over the head with. No.
It was never intended for that.
No.
I don't think it was ever intended for that.
No, He wants to woo us with it. And so thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
This has been really, really great, and I hope that this has been a blessing to you watching and inspirational if you're embarking upon business or you already are in business and you're feeling a bit jaded, or maybe you also have reached that place of fulfillment where you feel, I'm thank you, Lord, you're really blessing me in this. So thank you, John.
My pleasure.
Firestarters prayer gatherings are brought to you by Integrity Restoration Ministries on the 2nd and 4th Saturday of every month, held at 1 Alpha Road, Bellevue Heights. For more information, go to integritygroup.org.au.
You want to join me in thanking John Jolly for taking time to share with us some of the significant things, factors that have changed his life. I'm here with a great friend of ours, Richard Oddie, and Richard is a prolific songwriter. You've been writing songs for how long?
Quite a while,
songs?
yes. Christian songs since I think the first song I wrote was in 1974. So.
Wow. And I think there'll be a lot of people watching today that have sung your songs and not even realised. So, Richard, just share with us and about where you see, which God's doing a new thing in the church, which we're all aware of, and I think he's probably doing his thing for the first time in a long time, rather than us doing a thing and trying to make it God. So worship's changing. You know, the way we present that whole ministry is changing. So do you want to share with us a little bit?
Yes, definitely changing, and it's changed so much, and it keeps changing like all the time. I think what happened, I guess, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that's all gone, and we're in a whole new era now. But I remember when I first became a Christian, one of the, one of my favourite artists at the time was a man by the name of Keith Green, and his main theme was prayer and holiness. And back then it was kind of like, okay, well that's okay, we already know about that. We're kind of like, give us something new. But that was actually the basis of all his teaching, was prayer and holiness. And although he died at 26. He was tragically killed, as you know. And anyway, his message is probably stronger today. We're now compared to what we had in praise and worship back in that time to now, it's like the whole worship industry has gone through the stratosphere. It's just like totally changed altogether. But I think churches are now coming back to understanding that really the most important thing is prayer and holiness, pursuing God. And I just say, like, the prayer and the presence of God is probably the main things that I'm pressing into now more than ever, I guess. So I'm sort of coming back to what I originally was sort of taught but learned, and I really think, and the contemporary church, no matter how big or grand it can get, really has to understand that the basis are those two things, prayer and holiness. And of course, obviously, reaching out souls and getting souls saved and people getting them discipled. But
it all comes out of that.
Yeah, it all comes out of that. Yeah. But when talking about worship, the basis of worship is really, truly prayer and holiness. Because King David said, "Who will stand before God?" He said, "He who has who will come unto the holy hill of the Lord. He who has clean hands and a pure heart." Clean hands and a pure heart. And when you look at it, that really is prayer and holiness. Is actually making ourselves truly accountable to God.
Yeah. And even though it seems like it's going back to the beginning, sometimes we do need to go back to go forward. And we're experiencing a real resurgence, I guess, in free worship, in pure worship, just honest, you and God sort of worship. And I guess that's your experience. Yeah,
definitely.
Too.
Free worship is something that, in a lot of ways, free worship has kind of been minimised by the contemporary church philosophy. I don't. That's fine, except that I found, especially in the last, I guess, 8-10 years, or last 8 years anyway, that coming back to more free worship, there's such a freedom and such an expression of God to be released. and that the churches are coming back to that. And I was recently at a church where they had a set format of songs and of how they were doing it. Great church, contemporary church, everything happening. But the new pastor said, now what we're going to do is we're going to introduce free worship. And they didn't understand that. No. They'd never done it. So they basically said, well, what's that? So I explained it to them, and they could free worship probably for about 10 seconds. He said, okay, we can work with that, 10 seconds. Next week we'll do 20 seconds. And I went to the church recently, and they were just amazing. They were just, like off the charts, with where they were going and the things of God. It was just amazing.
We've come to the end of season 1 of Firestarters. 13 episodes that I hope have blessed you. They've certainly blessed me. The job I get to do is such a blessing from God. And I want to thank you for watching. But please continue to watch our website, because Firestarters TV will be back shortly with a brand new season. Great new guests, overseas, international, many walks of life. And I know that we're going to, together, start many fires for God. Until next time, I'm Pamela Segneri, and this is Firestarters TV.